Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight it's Game 2 between the two best teams in the American League right now, the Kansas City Royals and the Houston Astros. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown and Jeff Blum and Bart Ennis will join us in a few minutes on a stormy night. Flash flood alert in some areas of Houston. But the Astros plowed through last night's game with a 6-1 win behind Lance McCullers. A very strong effort from him, Jeff.
Extremely tough outing for him. He did a great job pitching well with that fastball slider, but I like where this series set up in the rotation for the Houston Astros. They got a great start from Lance. First win of this series is a big win.
And a home run from Jose Altuve, who's gotten hot now after his hamstring injury has healed for him.
Oh, he's looking great right now. He's back to form. I think a couple of those days off, they're going to say it's a hamstring. It may have been a little bit of a mental break for the young man, too. It's a tough stretch going out here with all the expectation on him after winning that batting title last year, but got some of that rest, got the hamstring right, got the mind right. You can see the numbers have changed a little bit. He's also working on an 8-game hitting streak right now. And how about on this homestand so far? 2 home runs. So the power source from the little man is shown in that 3-hole.
Well, you mentioned where the Astros are in the rotation right now, and the fine game from McCullers drew rave reviews from the Kansas City clubhouse. Now it's Dallas Keuchel, perhaps an opportunity to lobby for an all-star start tonight.
I think that's absolutely what's going on. Timing is everything. Keuchel has been pitching extremely well. That last time out, complete game shutout. Looking to back that up with the start here against the Kansas City Royals. And yes, Ned Yost is in that visiting dugout, watching to see what Dallas Keuchel can do. Great numbers against his top 3 pitches, hitting .203 against that changeup. Against that slider, hitters are only hitting .064. So look for another fantastic outing against a tough hitting team in the Kansas City Royals.
He's a ground ball machine and the complete game shutout. Coming up, power window. It was a mid-season surge that shot Chris Carter to the top of the slugging charts in 2014, and he's showing signs that a similar power window might be opening this season. How important is the next month for Chris and the Astros? Plummer and I will discuss when we return. Would be a rainout, but thankfully the Astros and the Royals will play indoors, and the Astros the first team to 45 wins in the American League. Meanwhile, they're looking at the second half now. It's coming up in just a couple of games, starting the second half of the season, wondering what that might yield. Jeff Blum.
I think it's going to be a good time. They're in first place. If they can head into that halfway point in the season in first place, then you turn into a pennant-chasing team, and I think that's where they want to be.
Our TXU power player was Chris Carter last night, providing a long home run again.
And that's what we want to see from Chris Carter. We know the strikeouts are going to be mounting here towards the end of the season, but when the man can actually put the barrel on the baseball, it's going to fly out of this ballpark, especially at home. We know what he can do to the American League West also, which is a good sign heading into those August, September parts of the year, because they're going to be facing those AL West foes quite a bit.
And as you look at the numbers for Chris Carter last year through 72 games, July 2nd, he was hitting only 181 with 13 homers. He has 14 now, 30 runs batted in. He has 38 now. And then the explosion came, Blummer.
Absolutely did. And we're at that 76 game point, so it's about that time where Chris needs to start turning this thing around. We know that John Singleton's here, putting a little bit of pressure on Chris Carter, but how about the Astros being in first place? And if they can add a power bat like Chris Carter's into that lineup, that might actually be able to carry them through the end of the season.
Coming up, Cornerstone. The Beards will be out in full force as Keuchel Angelo takes them out in search of his 8th home win of the season. Can the Astros ace beat Kansas City and make an all-star impression on Royals manager Ned Yost? First pitch is coming up.
Fans are having a hard time getting here and making their way into the ballpark. But one group that is here and here in force are the Dallas Keuchel fans here in Keuchel's Corner, section 105 and 106. They got the beards going. They got the Go Beard or Go Home t-shirts going, and they're hoping to see their guy give them a lot to cheer about tonight. But the truth is, this is a big game for both of these teams, and when we take a look at the standings, it bears that out. As the Royals come in here with the best winning percentage in the American League, that 44-29 record. They're 5.5 up on Minnesota, 6 ahead of Detroit. The Royals are 22-16 on the road. That's the second best road record in the American League behind Tampa Bay, and they've been good against the West. They're 13-7 against the American League West. For the Astros in that West, they're 4 games up on the Angels, 5 ahead of the Rangers. The Astros are 10 games over 500 here at Minute Maid Park with a 26-16 record. And Dallas Keuchel's performance at home has a lot to do with that. Keuchel is 7-0 with an American League best 1.39 ERA in 9 home starts, and he is unbeaten over his last 12 starts here. And one of the key things he's done is keep the other team in the ballpark. Over that span, he has not allowed a homer, and that includes a span of 86 2/3 innings. Fans have come to expect quality starts from Dallas. After all, he's gone at least 6 innings in 27 consecutive starts. That's the longest streak in the major leagues. And Brownie, as I toss it back up to you and Blummer, I will reiterate again that Dallas has a chance to make a case to be the starter in the upcoming All-Star game. We'll see if he can get that done tonight, guys. Back up to you.
Well, Mr. Ned Yost has already mentioned him and 2 others as strong possibilities, and these fans know all about the credentials and the beard of Dallas. And, of course, that home record you talked about, everything well chronicled. But Dallas is the type of pitcher who's concerned about tonight and what's ahead. And he said on a radio show the other day he has conditioned himself to pitch about 240 innings this year. He'd love to go more and feel really bad next fall, Blummer.
Well, that bodes well if you do get into the playoffs, because those are some serious innings you're going to be putting on that arm. But he does a great job, and I like the fact that you pointed out he is focused on today. He's done a great job of maturing in that mentality part. Got beat up a little bit early on in his career, but has turned into the Astros ace. Been a lot of fun to watch. The numbers keep improving, even when people think they wouldn't. And he is the man for the Astros.
Here's the lineup he'll be facing, and it's a lineup with a .272 batting average for this Kansas City club. Alcides Escobar is the leadoff man and shortstop. It's Mike Moustakas at third base, Lorenzo Cain in center field, Kendrys Morales at first base, Salvador Perez DHing tonight, Alex Gordon in left field, Alex Rios in right, Omar Infante at second base, Drew Butera is the catcher. Danny Duffy will pitch for Kansas City. He's a lefty. So it's a matchup of southpaws, and Keuchel is 1-0 lifetime in 2 starts against Kansas City. There's a shot to Carter. First pitch hard hit by Escobar, turns into out number 1.
You're not loose, you're loose now. Take a look at who's playing behind Dallas Keuchel. Preston Tucker, George Springer, and Domingo Santana are in the outfield. Marwin Gonzalez is out there at third base. Carlos Correa, of course, at short, working with Altuve at second base. Just saw Chris Carter making a play on that hot smash. And Hank Conger is doing the catching with Dallas Keuchel this evening.
Mike Moustakas ready to hit. The infield playing him to pull. There is strike 1 to Moose. 317, 7 homers, 31 runs batted in. There were a lot of Kansas City fans here in last night's game. Keuchel works quickly, missing inside. 1-1. The home plate umpire is Jordan Baker tonight. That whip is below 1. That is outstanding. Walks and hits for innings pitched. So Keuchel has not allowed much traffic. That's a check swing call that goes Kansas City's way, and it's 2-1 for Moustakas. Moustakas has been quite a hitter on the road this season. Ground ball, and the shift places Correa right in its path for out number 2.
Take a look at what Dallas Keuchel's doing on the season. We talked about how well he is. Here's some of the rankings amongst American League pitchers. Wins, tied for second. Complete games, tied for first. But that opponent average against, extremely impressive, 194. That WAR rating at 4.1 for all you sabermetricians, fantasy baseball owners out there. Dallas Keuchel is the man for you.
Lorenzo Cain was 0 for 4 last night. Taking ball 1 there. Cain was the DH in last night's game. He was robbed on a line drive to center field by a diving George Springer play. But nonetheless, good numbers at 289 with 6 homers. He's driven in 33. Little looping liner, and that flare is foul for an 0-2 count. Cain really an important man, the way he roams center field, and he's second only to Mike Trout among American League center fielders and putouts. He really has vast range, and he's chimed in with a bat too. Last year he hit .301. He was the MVP of the American League Championship Series last season. It's 1-2. Cain is a .356 career hitter against the Astros. Royals have some banged up players. Cain's hamstring has been bothering him. Counts 2-1 now on Cain. Now 3 balls and a strike. Kendrys Morales waiting to hit next. The Royals have won 14 of their last 20. And with their .603 winning percentage, that is tops in the American League. They're 5-2 on this road trip. They've played a lot of road games this month. In the air, foul. They'll go back home after tomorrow night. The finale of this homestand here for the Astros. Kansas City goes back to play an 11-game homestand at Kauffman Stadium, but really excelling away from Kauffman Stadium this season with a record of 22-16 on the road. Little tap, barehanded, but not played by Marwin Gonzalez. That was the only chance he had, but he couldn't get it into the bare hand, and Cain reaches.
Yeah, it's not easy for Dallas Keuchel to square it up. I think Lorenzo Cain may have re-aggravated that hamstring injury. Smelling his hit right here. All you can do, playing deep, charge it in. You'd like to see that ball maybe hit a little bit closer to the fingertips to soften that blow to the hands a little bit.
Yeah, Cain taking his time getting set up at first base there. He ran well up the right field line past the first base bag. And that hamstring had been bothering him. And he gets an infield hit. He's aboard for Kendrys Morales, the switch hitter. Fly ball toward the right field corner. A long run here for Santana. That one bounces and goes out of play for a double. It may have saved a run. Morales gets his 20th two-base hit of the season.
Well, Cain was going to test that hamstring immediately. Kendrys being aggressive. Let's take a look at our Super Mo presented by Mattress Firm. See that two-seam grip from Dallas Keuchel trying to get that ball running away, and obviously a little more elevated than he'd like to have. And with where the Astros play their outfielders towards the gaps here at Minute Maid Park, no chance for Domingo to get over there and try and make a play on that.
Salvador Perez is DHing tonight. He homered last night. There's ball one for the only run for Kansas City in a 6-1 loss. 270, 13 homers, 34 runs batted in for Perez. 25-year-old workhorse catcher. In for a strike, and it's 1-1. Perez last year caught 164 games. Kansas City going through the postseason, and that was a major league record. Carter makes a second good play of the inning, and it's no runs, 2 hits, 2 men left in scoring position. Due up, Springer, Altuve, Correa in the Houston first. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. It's George Springer leading it off in center field. Jose Altuve at second base on an 8-game hitting streak. Carlos Correa bats third at shortstop. Then it's Evan Gattis at DH. Chris Carter at first base. Domingo Santana right field. Hank Conger catcher. Preston Tucker left field. Marwin Gonzalez third base.
On the mound for Kansas City is Danny Duffy, making his second start since coming back from the DL. Pitched well in his last outing, but was held back because of a pitch count, so that's something to keep an eye on Danny Duffy, because last night Joe Blanton got roughed up a little bit. Kansas City Royals had to use 4 pitchers, so we'll see how that bullpen shapes up again tonight.
Springer took ball one. George with a little grounder back to the pitcher. He tosses him out. You might have noticed on that graphic that Duffy missed 5 weeks with biceps tendonitis. That's why the pitch count was used last time for him. He gets out number 1. He is 1-1 in his career against the Astros. 26 years old, from California. And he was a third-round pick in 07 of the Royals. Jose Altuve, during his 8-game hitting streak, has really returned to top form. His average working its way back toward 300 at 292. He has 7 homers to tie his career high and 31 runs batted in. And you might have noticed that stat against lefties. He has really excelled with southpaws on the mound. There's ball 1. During his 8-game hitting streak, he's hit .333. Duffy throws ball 2. Duffy with a fastball can reach 94. That one was at 91. He's been making mistakes with his fastball over the middle of the plate this year. In the air to right center field. Rios coming over. 2 outs for Duffy.
On the defensive side for the Kansas City Royals, you just saw Alex Rios out there in right field. Lorenzo Cain, of course, in center field alongside Alex Gordon in his 4 Gold Gloves. Mike Moustakas, Alcides Escobar back out there at shortstop. Omar Infante at second. Kendrys Morales at first base. While Drew Butera takes up the catching duties to give Salvador Perez a chance to take a break and DH.
The Royals are a magnificent team defensively. Correa, a 300 hitter with 5 homers, has 15 runs batted in. 0 for 4 last night. Leads rookies in OPS and slugging in the American League with his sensational start. And that's strike 1 for Duffy. Both these clubs have not played as well against left-handed starters. The Astros are 16-17. The Royals are 12-13 against lefty starters. It comes in, and it's 0-2. Correa fouls it back. Astros have won 11 of 18. They are 14-14 for the month of June. There's that Wednesday game, the no decision against the Mariners you referenced earlier, Jeff. 88 pitches.
No walks is a good sign for Kansas City.
That's strike 3 called. Duffy didn't need many pitches to get through the first. 9 pitches in the inning, and it's no score. By Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And brought to you by Pixels in theaters July 24th. Orbit, really focusing on the Kansas City part of the field, was holding a Jose Altuve fan club meeting and got some lukewarm response from the visiting team before the game.
Spent some serious time getting that creative. That's impressive.
Had his Uncle Sam outfit on last night, imploring the fans to get out the vote for Jose Altuve. And Thursday night will be the final day of voting, we understand, at midnight. Alex Gordon is in the box ready to go in a scoreless game, taking strike one. Gordon at 272 and 9 homers has driven in 32. Infield plays him to pull. He was 1 for 3 with a walk last night. In tight for a 1-ball, 1-strike count. You talked about his 4 Gold Gloves. He's just a part of this well-functioning Royals team, offensively and defensively. He's crowded by that one, and it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count. Gordon drove in 74 last year from Lincoln, Nebraska. He chops it up the line, and it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Dallas Keuchel in his career has won 30 and lost 30 for a .500 career winning percentage. During his time with the Astros, which started in 2012, the Astros are .221 and .344 for a .391 winning percentage. Strike 3 call.
Let's take a look at our strike zone. It's going to be presented to you by MD Anderson, and what a great bit of pitching by Dallas Keuchel. See those first 4 pitches on the inner third, really standing Alex Gordon up, and then gets him to 2 strikes and paints away.
He really had a plan. Rios the batter. Looking at ball 1. 220 for Alex. 1 homer, 11 runs batted in. Rios was a first-round pick of Toronto in '99. He played with the Rangers last year. Off the plate, and it's 2-0. Dallas Keuchel was the 221st player drafted in '09. Line drive left field. Preston Tucker, 2 outs. That worked out pretty well.
Yeah, money well spent.
The Astros are 11-5 in his 16 starts. Since the end of the 2013 season, Keuchel's ERA is 2.65. Behind 3 pitchers in the American League: King Felix, John Lester, and Chris Sale. Omar Infante the batter, and it's strike 1 to Omar. 233, no homers, 23 runs batted in. He was 0 for 4 last night. Infante has really taken the All-Star voting well. He's leading Jose Altuve by a little over 200,000 votes, and he's just focusing on it being a compliment to him. Off Keuchel's foot. Carter, with Keuchel not there, will hold on to it. An infield hit for Infante.
Well, it's good to see Keuchel get off the mound. I was a little concerned when that ball ricocheted off him, if it may have caught him in a bad spot. Of course it's going to hurt, but the fact he's up and moving around is a good sign. May have gotten the shoe a little bit. It's not very nice of Infante to try and knock Keuchel out of this game with the line drive up the middle.
Not at all. It looked like it got him somewhere on the right shoe. Drew Butera is the batter, former longtime big leaguer Sal Butera, who's been working in front offices for years. His father. There's ball 1. 171 for Drew. No homers, 1 run batted in. Drew was drafted by the Mets in '05. They traded him to the Twins. He joined the Dodgers last year. Little dribbler. Keuchel can't get it. Marwin Gonzalez guns him down. No runs, a hit, and a man left. No score.
bar at Minute Maid Park for Baseball on Tap this Friday. Baseball on Tap kicks off at 4:30 p.m. and features a beer tasting, live music, and a souvenir Astros pint glass to the first 500 fans in attendance with a game ticket. For more information, call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com/baseball on tap.
It's Friday, July 17th, during that Texas Rangers series. Evan Gattis is the batter. Gattis looks at ball one. 235 is his average. 13 homers, 47 runs batted in for Gattis. You see he has 46 runs batted in since April 26th. That's atop the American League in that period of time. He did not play last night. It's in for a strike on a breaking pitch for Duffy, and it's 1-1. Last year, Danny Duffy won 9 and lost 12. His ERA was 2.53 last season. 2 balls and 1 strike. He had some problems with an inflamed rotator cuff last year and also a stress reaction in his rib cage. He won a game in the postseason. Line shot right center field. Gattis banged that one out to become the first Houston base runner after a 9-pitch 1-2-3 first for Duffy.
Gattis is an interesting hitter to watch. Really keeps his nose down on the ball and really forces those hands to keep that barrel going up the middle of the field. Really seems like his idea of hitting is taking that fastball up the middle the other way, and if he gets a hanging off speed pitch, turn and burn.
Chris Carter rocked one out near the ConocoPhillips pump last night for home run number 14. There's a line shot, foul over into Keuchel's corner.
Probably ricocheted off about 4 beards over there.
Carter hit a homer last year off Duffy, and he has 4 career bombs against Kansas City pitching. Carter takes a breaking pitch. It's 1-1 to Chris. He's worked his way back up into the number 5 spot in the lineup. He's been hitting as low as 8th in recent games. He's sitting on 99 career homers. One and 2. He's hit 2 bombs in his last 3 games. 10 of his 14 long balls have come here at Minute Maid Park. Duffy, season by season. He's 1-1 this year on the road with a .450 ERA and 4 road starts. Carter's down on strikes. Second punch out for Duffy. For Duffy's career, he's 14-11 on the road with a 3.46. 1 out, and Domingo Santana follows. Domingo at .250 has 2 homers, 8 runs batted in. Had a good game last time he was in that lineup last night with a bases loaded walk and an RBI single in 4 trips. Bad strike 1. Tom Verducci of Sports Illustrated has an interesting article at SI.com about these 2 teams meeting. They have the 16th Houston and 21st Kansas City best starting rotations in baseball right now. 0-2, and the article really focuses on how important bullpens have become in Major League Baseball. And these 2 teams are right there. Kansas City ranked number 1 by some rankings in Major League bullpens. Houston not far behind. And he points out that teams that score first win 71.6% of the time this season. That's higher than it has been for quite some time. We talked last night, Jeff, about both these teams, joking about trying to win the first 6 innings of the game, but the stats hold up when these 2 teams do that.
Yeah, both these bullpens, and that was a huge issue last year for the Astros. I believe 24 or 25 games blown late in the game with leads. But I think it's a credit to what they're following a similar program that the Royals are. They want to shorten those games, take the stress off those starting pitchers. Just tell them, give me a good quality start, and we'll shut it out the rest of the way. But the way their bullpen sets up, they could almost back it up to the 5th inning.
And Conger's on deck. Santana looks at it. It's 1-2.
And you got to give Ned Yost a lot of credit, AJ Hinch a lot of credit for that too, because you can't go to that bullpen every single night. And that's the problem, is managing how many times those guys get hot, even if they don't come in the game. If they're getting hot, that's taxing on the arm. How many days in a row can guys go before they start to feel the burn in that arm?
And the Royals have that additional burden of the postseason series they played last year, putting those extra innings on everybody on their pitching staff. But they have a couple of starters on the disabled list right now who could certainly help in the second half. Lefty Jason Vargas and Yordano Ventura. They also have Chris Medlin. And he hasn't pitched yet for them, but they signed him to a 2-year deal, knowing that he would not be ready until about mid-season. He's out rehabbing now. He could be a factor in the second half for them. Double play ball. There's Infante with a flip, and Escobar converts the 4-6-3 double play. After 2, there's no score.
Keuchel quote of the day, and it comes from Dallas Keuchel on the Astros' improvement this year. He said, "I've seen the worst. I've been through a couple of 100-loss seasons. I've been through tryouts with guys coming in and out, a revolving door of a roster. It's very rewarding for us to be in first place right now. I don't even think we played that well. I think we're a better team than what we've shown so far." And that's the message that Dallas brings into that clubhouse pretty much every day, guys, setting the bar high, setting expectations high for all these young players coming in. And to this point this season, they have been clearing that bar, guys.
That's a good angle on things as Dallas takes the mound in a scoreless game to begin the third inning and face Alcides Escobar, throwing strike one. We're just reading an article on ESPN.com about the Astros before this game, and it would agree with the comments of Dallas Keuchel. The article pointed out that Dallas to this point is having a career year. Reliever Will Harris is having a career year. But other than those two, it would be hard to make the point that any other Astros player is doing that same thing to this time.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Those guys down in that clubhouse led by Dallas Keuchel are believing.
One ball, 2 strikes.
As well they should be too.
Well, you pointed out what Chris Carter did in the second half of the season last year. So who knows what's in store for any player at this point in the second half with so many games yet to play. This is game number 80.
Well, I would imagine management's got to be asking, okay, we gave you a pretty lengthy rope last year, Chris, to figure out how to get it going. Right now they're waiting for that same thing, and I think that's part of the excitement of having Chris Carter around, is the potential of what he did last year. It was unbelievable how hot he got, but if you add a hot, powerful bat in the middle of this Astros lineup, that could turn it into a whole different kind of damage they're going to do to AL teams.
Still 2-2.
But it begs the question, how long are they willing to wait for that to happen?
Last night, John Singleton was the DH. The plans are for him to get a start at first base the next few days. Escobar takes, and it's ball 3 to the Venezuelan-born shortstop. He's had a finger injury. The Royals have several banged up players. He has a bruised index finger on his throwing hand. Ground ball came up and hit him. Tap to Keuchel. And the Gold Glove winner from last year makes the play for out number 1.
Take a look at Keuchel facing lefties as Moustakas comes up, and you can see on the right hand side how effective that off speed is, but still not too many hot zones with that fastball. We saw him paint Alex Gordon on that inside corner and put him away with a fastball away, but I think that slider is what's so effective for Dallas Keuchel against left-handed hitters, able to change speeds on it. When you change the speeds, it changes the break, changes the look, and you get a lot of swings and misses.
Mike Moustakas looks at ball 1. I had a stat today on Dallas Keuchel that he is second in the American League in fewest hard hit balls by percentage allowed. Phil Boudreau is frowning. 1 ball, 1 strike. According to the stat, 21% of the balls hit are hit hard, and only 1 pitcher has a better percentage than that in terms of soft contact against it.
I don't think that gets talked about enough.
Carter tossing to Keuchel, 2 outs.
That was one right there.
Yeah, some more soft contact. 2 of them so far for the first 2 outs in this inning.
You know, it's a couple of things. It's not only that Dallas Keuchel pitches on the edges of the plate, which makes it tough to barrel him up because he rarely makes a mistake out over the plate, but it's the way he sets some of these hitters up, and you can see what he's doing to these left-handers. He's working them in on the inside corner. They're probably not accustomed to a lefty coming to that inside corner. Usually lefties like to work that outside part of the plate, but he's doing a good job of keeping them off balance.
Lorenzo Cain is the batter. And up the right field line, Santana all the way back. It's over his head. He'll play it off the wall. Cain into second base on a hard hit double. Cain's 2 for 2.
And I didn't scan the outfield before that swing from Lorenzo Cain, but off the bat, from where we're sitting, it looked like Domingo was playing way over towards that line, but playing extremely shallow also. One of the few balls that's able to be barreled up. It's kind of the view we're getting. See where Domingo is playing pretty shallow against Cain. He's not a slouch at the plate.
Number 3 hitter who hit that one for his 14th double. Now Kendrys Morales bats. That's strike 1. Morales got his 20th double in the first inning. And he has delivered with men in scoring position to the tune of a .346 batting average. The Royals are quite happy with what he's done in the absence of Billy Butler at DH. Although Morales playing first base tonight. Usually he's the DH. 1-1. And Butler has struggled. He moved on to Oakland. Well, Morales is having a fine year here after hitting only 8 homers last year for Minnesota and Seattle. It's not so much the homers. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He's hit 8. He's hit 9 rather, but he's driven in 48 runs. And that's the most in the American League by a player with fewer
than 10 homers. So ahead in the count. Fastball comes in from Dallas 56% of the time. That's strike 3. Second punch out, and once again the Royals managed to leave a man in scoring position. No score.
Name That Astro, brought to you by your local Honda dealer. And tonight we're telling you about an Astro who was drafted in 1979, played 8 years in Houston. Astros MVP in 85 and 87, stole 42 bases in 86. That was 5th in the National League that year. Hit a 2-run homer in Game 2 of the 86 NLCS. If you know who this Astro is, think about it for a couple innings. We'll have the answer a little bit later, or you can text or get on Twitter and send your answer to @Plumber27.
I see you working.
See where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
You've learned your lessons.
Now you'll catch the grief, not me.
Oh, boy. Can't wait.
And Conger hit that one foul for strike 1.
Well played.
We do listen to the fans. 0-2. Conger with 4 homers, 11 runs batted in. Has a .238 average. He's had 50 at bats right-handed. He said he had about 10 or 15 right-handed each of the last 3 years with the Angels. And so he said, yeah, he's got plenty of work from this side of the plate. 1-2 to Conger. Conger's a .321 career hitter against Kansas City. Jason Castro did the work behind the plate last night, had a sac fly. And the Astros 6-1 win. Fouled away. Contributions have come from a lot of different players on this club.
And you need that. And I think that's what started out this season for the Houston Astros, is the ability to not have to count on one guy on a particular stretch. These guys were picking each other up, and we've seen it a lot of times where runners will be left on base and get to 2 outs, and somebody will come up with that big hit to pick up those guys that maybe struggled a little bit earlier.
Duffy catches Conger looking for strikeout number 3.
Tell you what, Duffy's looking pretty good. Fastball looks good. It's in the zone. This breaking ball comes back nicely to freeze Hank Conger.
His seasonal numbers do not speak to what we're seeing tonight. Preston Tucker comes to the plate. He had a nice game last night. RBI single and 2 walks for Preston. And there's strike 1 to him. At .248 he has 4 homers, 17 runs batted in. Duffy's working about as quickly as Dallas Keuchel works. 1-1.
Some more crazy numbers for Danny Duffy. The left-handers this year came into this game hitting .326. There you go. That number's on the bottom against lefties. Last season 137, which you would imagine with the stuff that Duffy has.
Yeah.
this year, 326. I wonder if that has something to do with the fastball getting hit.
Well, maybe. Fly ball out to Kane in center. But we're not seeing that number in action on our television screens tonight, are we?
Yeah, but you brought it up earlier, and I feel the same way. Not knowing the numbers and watching a lot of games here in the last month or so against left-handed pitching, the Astros do not hit them well for whatever reason, which is odd because you've got so many strong right-handed bats. Gaddis, Carter, Springer, Altuve.
True. Marlon Gonzalez, 238, has 4 homers, 17 runs batted in. Popped up behind the dish, and back out of play for Butera. There's strike 1. George Springer has 6 home runs against left-handed pitching. That leads the Astros club. Chris Carter, 5 homers, 11 runs batted in. Evan Gaddis has 16 runs batted in against lefties to lead the club in that department. In for a strike, it's 0-2, and Duffy is just mowing down the hitters. He is in that strike zone. 35 pitches so far for Danny Duffy. Line shot into left field. There was one up in the eyes of Marlon Gonzalez. He had a good look at it, and he whacked it. Hit number 2 for the Astros.
Yeah, some of the breaking balls we've seen called for Duffy have been up in the zone. You can see that second strike up there, and this one flattened out up there. And that's a mistake. Marwin Gonzalez making him pay.
You can see Duffy pound his fist in his glove.
It's beautiful. Just get those hands on top. Get the barrel driving through that middle part of the ball.
George Springer grounded out to Duffy. George is going into a downturn the last few games. Snap throw to first without stepping. That's a quick move. Don't see that too much anymore.
Oh, it's such an effective move too.
Springer takes ball 1. Good to see Astros owner Jim Crane here tonight. He just stepped in to say hello. It's a tough night for fans to get to Minute Maid Park with all the rains in this area. In tight. 2-0. Looks like the folks down in Keuchel's Corner made it in good numbers, though.
I'm actually pretty impressed with how many people are actually getting to this ball game. Yeah, maybe a little bit late, but they've earned the right to come in here and enjoy some good baseball.
Why not? Way outside. 3 balls, no strikes to George Springer. Well, that game last night from Lance McCullers. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. He checked in for the month of June with an ERA of 2.11, lowest in June by a Houston rookie since Darryl Kyle in '91. Springer, green light, and it's 3-1.
Atta boy, let it go.
The batting average against McCullers in June was 164. Best in the majors for that month by anybody this year. It's right to left field. Springer really got into this one. And that one is a 2-run homer for George Springer. Number 13. And that's 29 runs batted in. So George Springer continues to show that he's one of the best Astros hitters against southpaw pitching this season. That's his 7th home run against lefties.
That ball was absolutely smashed. Tried to come into the house of George Springer, and he unleashed that front side opening nicely, throwing the barrel at it. I'm even more impressed with the fact he kept it fair.
Yeah.
Off the top of that foul pole.
Boy, he hit that hard, didn't he?
That's what he has the potential to do. And when he's going good, he's thinking up the middle and has the ability to react inside. That's what you got to keep the faith in.
Altuve pulls off it a little bit, 0-2. So that one hit the foul pole, huh?
I believe it did.
Well, then that'll be Chick-fil-A sandwiches for everybody here tomorrow when they take their ticket. Chick-fil-A. Ground ball, backhanded, tough play here by Moustakas. He's a really good one. And there were 2 outs, nobody on, an 0-2 count. Marwin Gonzalez single, George Springer ripped a home run. 2-0 Houston.
On top 2-0. The Astros have signed yet another one of their top draft choices. He is Daz Cameron, an 18-year-old outfielder from Eagles Landing Christian Academy in Georgia. And he joins us now. He is the son of former big league outfielder Mike Cameron. Daz, let's start with you. What a great opportunity this is for you to come into an organization that is building through youth right now. Got to be pretty excited about that.
Oh, yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very blessed to be here. This is something that I remember forever.
So this was your senior year in high school. You were probably just about done with finals and all that stuff, so you had a chance to relax and enjoy the day?
Yeah, I feel good. Feeling good about not going to school no more for a little bit, so pretty happy, man.
What were the emotions when you heard it was the Astros?
Just happy to be drafted by a good organization, and just happy to be here.
Well, your dad, I know your dad, Mike, beat up on the Astros a lot during his major league career. We remember that, 17 years in the bigs. This has got to be fun for you to see your son get this opportunity.
Definitely. It's a great experience, not only to get drafted and then be able to come here and experience it with the team, to see what it's like, and to keep the hunger as you go down and try to get better and coming up, working up towards your way to grasp the experience and the opportunity and the dream every day.
Daz, how much does it help you make the transition to professional ball, having grown up around Major League Baseball?
For him being here, it's been a great impact on me. Just helping me learn more about the game more and more, and he's taught me just to go out and play hard, so he's been a very big impact on me.
You had a chance to meet some of the Astros, take a little BP here. What was that like for you?
That was fun. Great experience hitting with college career Altuve. I didn't know a little guy like Altuve could hit balls oppo like that, and it was very impressive. So.
Well, Daz Cameron's got it all. Hit .455 his senior year, 10 doubles, 8 homers, 17 steals, and 32 RBI. A 5-tool player, the 37th overall pick in the draft, and the Astros have now signed 32 of their 42 selections, which is awesome. Guys, thanks so much, and congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Rowdy, back up to you.
Thank you, Bar. We enjoyed talking with Mike before the game today, and asked Mike if he's going to go out with Daz as he begins his professional career. He said no, he's on his own now.
Get to cut him loose.
Yeah. That'll be interesting to watch his progress along with the other guys who have just signed. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Scott Boras, who's here tonight as Daz's agent, just glowing in his abilities and showing how he already had a professional swing, an inside-out type approach, kept his hands inside the ball during batting practice. And you have a story to tell, too, from batting practice with Mike.
Well, Mike Cameron and I were teammates in San Diego, and he is my top 5 teammate. He was the best center fielder I had ever played with. Daz Cameron has the credentials. His dad, you know, the pedigree is there. But I was down there talking to Mike, giving him a hard time. You know, we aren't that far removed from the game. To have a kid get drafted is pretty amazing. It makes you feel a little bit old. But Mike was watching his son hit in that first group with some of the other guys on the Astros, and he's talking to me, but out of the corner of his eye, you could see him peeking in the cage. We were watching, and Daz is, you know, rolled over one, hit a looper into left, and he goes, "Give me a minute, give me a second. I got to go over here and say something." He goes over to the cage. He goes, "Son, let it go." And sure enough, the next swing, he puts one up on the, you know, the community boards up there,
yeah, wow.
And the next pitch after that ends up on the train track. So that was kind of fun to watch. You know, Dad knows best. He knows your skills. Listen to Pops and just let it go, relax, and sure enough, he did, and it was a lot of fun to watch. What an experience, though. Can't even imagine how much fun that family's having right now.
You bet. Strikeout number 4 for Dallas Keuchel. That's 3 in a row, and Mike said that he's staying at home. He's got 3 more younger kids to raise now.
He does, yeah. Put a lot of focus on Daz now. Daz has got the reins taken off. He can go play, have some fun.
Alex Rios is coming up. Scott Boras said the only thing Daz needs that he doesn't have right now to become just a complete player is a little more strength. But he'll acquire that as he probably puts more time in the weight room.
He's 18. Right. He's just a kid. But if he fills out, his dad was a beast.
Yeah, I remember his dad one time coming into home plate here on a grinding collision, knocking down Humberto Quintero.
That was one of the greater collisions at home plate that I've ever seen.
That was a tough one. I think Q went on the disabled list after that. Ground ball to third. Marwin Gonzalez makes it a 1-2-3 fourth and a 2-0 Houston lead.
Nothing. Well, the Coca-Cola Value Days package is one of the best ballpark bargains you're going to find. Available for select Monday through Thursday regular season games. This offer gets you a ticket, hot dog, soda, and popcorn, all for just $16. To purchase tickets, go to astros.com/Coke Value or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. That's a pretty good deal right there, guys.
That's outstanding. Yeah, the Astros have had that program for a long time. Thank you, Bard. 2-0 Astros. Correa, Gaddis, and Carter due up in the Houston fourth. Carlos Correa struck out on 3 pitches, his first time up. High to center field. Kane's not moving. Now he does. 1 out on 1 pitch for Danny Duffy. The Astros have been in first place for 76 days now. They currently lead the Angels by 4 and the Rangers by 5. Rangers are leading tonight in Baltimore 6-5 after 6. Kevin Gaddis is the batter. He lined a single to right center field earlier. Angels play later tonight at home against the Yankees. There's a lot of buzz around that Angels club right now.
Not the good kind.
No. Possible dissension in the organization between the general manager Jerry Dipoto and the skipper Mike Scioscia. That's been the case before. A couple of years ago, Mickey Hatcher, a good friend of Mike Scioscia's, was a coach. He was fired. That's rocked out to center field, way up. Taos Hill, Lorenzo Cain, extra bases. He falls on the top of the hill, throws back in from the seat of his pants, and that's a stand-up triple for Gaddis, his 4th.
Take that. Billy Hamilton now in the rearview mirror of Evan Gaddis. This ball was annihilated. You know who's not going to miss Taos Hill?
Yeah.
Lorenzo Cain.
You're looking at him.
Oh, man. Gosh, that ball was pummeled.
Did a nice job of keeping his footing, and then once the ball had bounced, he lost it. Then he couldn't get up.
I think there were all kinds of body parts having some issues because this was a line drive. There wasn't much elevation on this swing. That's how hard Evan Gaddis hit that ball. But you can see what I love is that he did not hesitate one bit. And that is a strong man overpowering a pitch. Doesn't get much better than that, Brownie.
Right on it. Infielders come in halfway. The runner at third, 1 out for Chris Carter. Ball 1 to Carter. Struck out in the second inning. The Astros have been creating some runs lately with hitting in clutch situations. That's what they're looking for here, at least a fly ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Last night they had some infield opportunities. Jason Castro delivered a bases loaded sac fly in the second inning. And Domingo Santana came through with an RBI single after Preston Tucker did the same thing with clutch hits in last night's game. 2 balls and a strike. So it's not only home runs, even though the Astros continue to lead the majors. The home run by Springer last inning was their 113th. Back by Carter.
Check out Cain on this play. The hill comes into play, and you can see it's tough to get your footing. He kind of stumbles there and then almost turned into a face plant. Did a good job of curling up there. But that could have gotten real ugly real quick.
It sure could have. Carter takes, and it's 3-2. Of course, as you know by now, the ballpark configuration will change for next year. And Taos Hill will not be part of the park.
Would that have been a home run?
Good question. I'm not sure how high the fence is going to be next year.
That'll be the interesting thing.
Yeah. Foul back. The battle continues at 3-2.
I think Evan Gaddis was thinking triple right here, Brownie.
Oh, yeah. He's got to pass Billy Hamilton. And he just did.
In a stand-up triple. He's just trucking. He almost looks like he's in amazement. He's like, is this really happening? Is this what I do now? I am a triples hitter.
Well, the Astros have 8 triples. 4 of them by Gaddis.
What did Vegas say the odds were on that?
Now here's Gattis coming to the plate, and he'll score. The wheels of Evan Gattis come into play in the 4th inning, and it's 3-0.
He's just going to take care of it himself. So Evan Gattis hits his 4th triple, and he doesn't get the same treatment as if he had hit a home run. This ball just clearly gets away from Duffy. I think it might have been that breaking ball too.
That's his 7th wild pitch of the year. And Carter drawing ball 4 on it. Is at first. That's the first walk of the game by Duffy. Santana the batter. Santana takes, and there's strike 1. Well, Julia Morales interviewed just about everybody on the Astros club this spring. You suppose if she had asked everybody who would be leading the club in triples at the halfway point, they would have said Evan Gattis?
If somebody did answer Evan Gattis, it was completely tongue-in-cheek. They were not anticipating that, maybe throwing a little bit of a jab at Evan Gattis, but he showed them.
1-1 to count. Throw to first by Butera. Carter got back. And Santana's down in the count now, 1-2. Well, the Astros are hitting .245 with runners in scoring position. That's not great, but they've come a long way up. 41 walks for Carter, 5th in the American League. Lazy ground ball. Moustakas throwing. Nope, no throw. That's an infield hit. And Santana reaches with Carter moving to 2nd.
Astros doing it in all kinds of ways. Seen the bomb already from Springer, a triple from Gattis. Now just a little nubber to get on base. I was actually surprised to see Moustakas not try and make that throw right there.
He's a playmaker too.
Yeah, he came up and fielded it clean. I thought he'd give it a shot.
Now runners at 1st and 2nd, 1 out. And it's Conger. Hank struck out looking in the 3rd. Hank had not heard about the discord in the Angels organization. There's strike 1.
Ooh, some of the digging has begun. It's the remnants of Lorenzo Cain.
Those are not bear tracks. Lazy fly ball, foul territory, going over Morales, and he makes a good play. 2 outs. Well, as the story has been reported by Ken Rosenthal, Jerry DiPoto, the Angels general manager, was a little unhappy about the coaching staff there. There's a catch by Morales. He had a meeting with the coaching staff Friday, and the coaches essentially said that they did not like the information they were getting from the analytics department, and Jerry said that they were not passing them along to the players. So he had another meeting Sunday with all the Angels players, saying that the front office would give them directly the analytical information, bypassing the coaches. Preston Tucker with ball 1. Albert Pujols reportedly at that meeting said to the general manager, Jerry DiPoto, our roster isn't as good as last year's.
Got to appreciate the honesty, and he's not lying.
Then it gets even deeper. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mike Scioscia had signed a long-time contract extension, a long-term contract extension through 2018, and evidently it has an opt-out clause after this year. He could choose to leave, according to that report.
It's extremely interesting to see a GM call a meeting like that with players without coaches. That's just a bizarre dynamic for me to understand. But at the same time, the fact that Albert Pujols is standing up, who is an obvious leader in that clubhouse, you never know. It could turn a situation that looks bad into a galvanizing kind of work for that clubhouse and the players coming together and fighting for their manager a little bit. So a lot yet to be seen, but you hate to see that with a team that's only 4 or 5 games back of the first place team Astros throughout the course of the season, because that could really wreak some havoc.
2-2 to Preston Tucker. And he fouls it. Preston said last night's game might really help him because Joe Blanton was nibbling, and Blanton walked him on a 3-2 pitch the first time up. Then he had an RBI single the second time up, but he said it got him to maintain his discipline for the strike zone and not chase some of those borderline pitches last night.
That's a good thing. It's a good mentality. Maybe get that mind right and the body will follow.
Struck him out. And the Astros hustle their way to a run on 2 hits. They leave 2. They're in front now. 3-0.
Nothing, so it's all good. It's really good for our progressive fan of the game. Cyrus Twaddle has turned 13 years old today and decided to celebrate with a buddy here at the Astros game. Happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you very much.
What's the best thing about coming to an Astros game on your birthday?
Oh, man. I brought the Springer sign thinking he was going to get a home run, and he did.
Okay, so hold it up for the fans. This is the sign, and you brought it to a game once before, right?
Yes, sir. Exactly a year ago on my birthday, and he hit it over,
So, back-to-back birthdays, he brings the sign, Springer homers on back-to-back days. They're going to start making you come and bring that sign every game.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
That's a pretty good record. And for that level of success, you are the progressive fan of the game.
Very much.
As well as a birthday boy.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Guys, back to you.
Great job. Good story.
It was real good.
1 ball, 1 strike to Omar Infante leading it off in the 5th inning. Springer belted that home run. That was a very hard hit ball. Last night, Springer made a diving catch in center field. 2 balls and a strike. Keuchel 7-0 with a 1.39 ERA at home this year. Altuve goes out Infante. A lot of people hoping Altuve will overtake Infante in the All-Star voting these next few days. By the way, there were 10,000 votes cast here last night by the fans at the All-Star voting party. So those folks got Chick-fil-A sandwiches when they brought their tickets in to Chick-fil-A. And what's Orbit doing? Orbit is out in Keuchel's corner. Up the middle, diving Correa. That ball hit sharply by Butera, and he's on with a 1-out single. But more Chick-fil-A sandwiches earned by the fans tonight, so to speak, on the Springer home run off the Chick-fil-A foul pole. Orbit's been preparing for this series for a long time.
He's such an instigator.
Well, Royals players kind enough to play along with his hijinks. Escobar is 0 for 2.
You know, you start developing that reputation as a mascot. You get teams coming in, they start to develop their own program trying to get back at Orbis here. You better be careful. Seen it with the Fanatic where they steal the keys to his ATV.
Yeah. Foul ball. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Scott Feldman threw today. A simulated game. Jake Marisnick was in the cage for a few swings. John Singleton took a few. And Scott is feeling good after the right knee surgery weeks ago. And he is headed out soon on a rehab assignment in the minor leagues. Ground ball third. Barwin to second. Altuve to Carter. Around the horn, 5-4-3. And the Astros get their 73rd double play. Keuchel with another tailor-made ground ball. 3-0 Astros.
Nothing over the Royals here in the bottom of the 5th. When the Astros win, you win. Every time the Astros win on Tuesday, you get 50% off your pizza order on Wednesday at Papa John's. Use the promo code ASTROS at papajohns.com. And Brownie talked about Scott Feldman throwing a simulated game earlier today.
Things went well, Blummer.
That's good to see. Smile on his face, letting that thing go. It's got to feel good to him, too.
Very anxious to get back in that rotation and help. Got a swing and a miss from Jake Marisnick, and Jake is headed out on a rehab assignment in the minors. He's leaving after this game. Marwin Gonzalez takes, leading off the home 5th inning. Ball 1 to Marwin. He singled and scored on the Springer 2-run homer off the Chick-fil-A foul pole in left. He smacks this one on the line to left. Gordon. Good catch by Gordon. 1 out.
There's a rocket from Marwin. He's been swinging the bat well.
He's hit 2 liners in this game tonight. Gordon got a nice jump.
It's a misery of being a line drive hitter. Don't elevate it enough to get it over the head of Alex Gordon. He was playing well deep here at Minute Maid Park, up close to that wall. Allowed him to get back there quickly and make a nice leaping grab.
George Springer takes ball 1. Springer rocked the 2-run homer in the 3rd after grounding out to the pitcher. So Marisnick leaves and heads for AAA. Fresno tomorrow, we think. Get in a few games there after his hamstring injury placed him on the disabled list. 2 balls, no strikes. Jed Lowry continues to take grounders, and he is swinging a fungo bat now. Soon he'll graduate to swinging a regular bat. Astros have some players on the mend. 3 balls, no strikes.
I think I've heard stories of Jose Cruz in winter ball hitting home runs with fungos. There was a fungo bat called a K100, and the legend has it that he took it up there in a couple winter ball games and hit a couple home runs.
That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
Ed Lowry working his way back. No real timetable for his return at this point. It's going to take a while. Springer draws a walk. That's the second of the night for Duffy. And Colby Rasmus spent the night at the hospital last night. He's had that infection, treated by an IV, antibiotics, from an apparent bug bite in Seattle. And he is not here tonight. Probably will not play tomorrow night as well, and then Thursday's an off day, so hopefully he's back in Friday night in Boston.
It's a little frightening to me.
It is.
So there should be some concern around Colby Rasmus. I just hope he gets healthy and gets out of there.
Right. I think the concern is that he's been feeling weak from the medication, so he needs to get his strength back. Jose Altuve put a fly ball to right and grounded out to third.
Well, that could make Jake Marisnick coming back kind of interesting. Maybe retroactive Colby Rasmus onto the DL. Give him a little more time to recuperate from those issues.
Well, A.J. Hinch said as of now the Astros are not thinking DL for Colby, hoping he can make it back quickly. By the way, after seeing the article in the paper today on Bob Allen, longtime sportscaster, 40 years of sportscasting in Houston, our best wishes, thoughts and prayers go out to Bob, who's getting treatments. We hope he'll be back soon. That's hit hard to left center field, and that's just right of the area where the fans are sitting. Now here's Springer around third, coming toward the plate, and the relay throw is not in time. And Altuve into third. He is safe. 4-0 Astros on a mad dash around the bases. That's a 9-game hitting streak for Altuve, and Springer flew around to score from first.
I absolutely love the baseball the Astros are playing right now. It is exciting. Duffy misses his spot. We saw Altuve turn on a Blanton fastball yesterday for a home run. This one he squares up nicely into that left center field gap. But keep an eye on George Springer. He goes out there, kind of hesitates a little bit, which makes what he did even more exciting. He hesitated going into second, thinking Alex Gordon had a jump on it to make the play, yet he turns it on and makes that mad dash towards home and scores relatively easily. It was a pretty good relay by Infante. Gosh, what talent they have.
The legs.
And they're aggressive. Force them to make the play.
Now runner at third, the infield in, 4-0 Astros. Correa the batter. He is struck out. Hit a fly ball to center. Ball one. Altuve just picked up his 32nd RBI of the year. That was his 15th double, and on the throw he took third base. Don't have an error on the scoreboard yet. Broken bat. Altuve back to third. Duffy throws him out. 2 outs. It is an exciting team to watch. It's the way the Royals played last year.
And that's what's going to give you some reason for excitement.
Third time through the lineup, a .452 batting average against Duffy. El Oso Blanco, Evan Gattis.
I like it, Brownie.
He added to the legend of El Oso Blanco with that triple up on Tal's Hill. The White Bear, he got that nickname in Venezuela with some legendary exploits in winter ball, but it was reversed on his triple, Blummer. The tracks were not left by the Bear, they were left by Lorenzo Cain.
Good call. I mean, I heard Bears were fast, but this is getting out of hand.
What's the old story about the 2 guys in the woods being chased by the bear? Well, we've you've got to be faster than the bear. The guy says, no, I just have to be faster than you.
Exactly. It's a solid friendship.
0-2. It has poured again tonight in Houston. Final game of the homestand tomorrow night at 7:10. Gaddis takes, and it's 1-2. That'll be Vince Velasquez and Edinson Volquez.
Battle of the Yeses.
And Thursday, a day off. 20 straight days of baseball until that point. The Astros holding up well over this period. 2-2.
Tell you what, Vince looked good last time out.
Yeah, he showed some different wrinkles, didn't he? That fastball was under better command last time out. Breaking ball, struck him out looking. And that strikeout number 5 for Duffy. The Astros hustle their way to a run on one hit. They leave a man, and they lead it 4-0. Is presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by HEB. No store does more than my HEB. Dallas Keuchel and the Astros have built a 4-0 lead through 5. The Royals have been held to 5 hits. The Astros have collected 6, including a Springer 2-run homer, a Gaddis triple, Evan also with a single. Altuve has an RBI double in this one. Keuchel got a double play ball to end his 5th inning. Mike Moustakas leads it off in the 6th. He's grounded out twice. Sonny Gray was scratched from his scheduled start for Oakland tonight with an illness. There's strike 1. And it sounds as if they're not sure when he'll start again for Oakland now. 1 ball, 1 strike. He and Dallas Keuchel are 2 of the top pitchers in the American League, and 2 pitchers under strong consideration by manager Ned Yost of Kansas City to start for the American League All-Stars. Correa gets it over to first. There's out number 1. Let's see who else is in the mix for Ned. David Price, Felix Hernandez, Chris Archer, and Chris Sale.
Good grief. Are you really going to go wrong with any of these guys?
Nope.
My goodness. But the strikeout numbers for Chris Sale obviously make him a pretty exciting pick if he does go that way.
It's outrageous, isn't it?
See how he matches up against some National League hitters. Those strikeout numbers. Is that a good ratio?
Oh. It's not good. It's a lot better than good. Ball 1 to Lorenzo Cain. He's 2 for 2. Well, Keuchel has the string of going at least 6 innings in 27 consecutive starts, longest active streak in the majors. Who's the best pitcher in baseball right now? Well, maybe Max Scherzer. Keuchel's in the mix among the very best. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He says in all the interviews he is not getting caught up in that. He's been pitcher of the month in both April and May in the American League, but he's just focused on trying to get this club to the playoffs. 70% fastballs tonight against righties. Punched out to right field and sliding. Santana can't make the catch. Springer goes over and Kane just keeps running into second. He beats a good throw. And Santana slid for it. And Kane now is 3 for 3 in this game. Second double of the night, 15th double of the year for Lorenzo Cain.
The only guy that's had an answer for Dallas Keuchel, and it wasn't even a very aggressive swing either. See him really bringing those hands in, trying to get that barrel going the other way, but not the greatest route from Santana. The glove kind of got stuck in the turf going after that one too.
Springer backed it up. Now it's Kendrys Morales who has a double and a strikeout. Taking strike 1. Salvador Perez on deck. Keuchel had a 12 strikeout game against the Yankees last time out in the 4-0 shutout win. He was the first pitcher to shut out the Yankees and have 1 or no walks and strike out 12 since Roy Halladay in 2001 for the Blue Jays. 1-1. Rounder, Keuchel over. How about his range factor? 2 outs.
There's a reason he has a Gold Glove. He can bounce off the mound, but let's see what he's done in his last 21 starts, going all the way back to August 26th of 2014. 11-3 record, getting him back to 500 on his career. ERA close to being under 2. That opponent batting average still right around that 200 mark. Incredible stuff. Is that when the beard started growing?
I think so. Yeah, probably so. Let's stay with it, shall we? Salvador Perez 0 for 2. You know, even though Dallas has not reached this level, last year he was 12-9. His ERA was 7th best in the American League, 2.93. He had 5 complete games. He threw 200 innings last year. On a club with 70 wins. Fly ball, left field line, over toward the corner, tucked over the long run. That ball is foul. Wow, I thought for sure that ball would be fair.
Well, you've called enough games here to realize how tough that is for a ball not to be fair down that line.
Yeah. Conger talks it over with Keuchel. Well, Keuchel said that a couple of years ago he just had to refine that fastball and get command of it. And that's what's made the difference in his pitching. In 2013, he had an ERA of 5.15. Pass to short. Correa charging and getting out number 3. No runs, a hit. Another man left in scoring position for the Royals, who trail 4-0.
You can follow the Astros all season with an MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At-bat is up to the moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at-bat for your smartphone or tablet. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Bart. 4-0 Houston. Chris Carter in the box. Towering pop. Butera over. Morales comes in. Butera can't quite get there. Strike one to Carter. 6th inning. He is struck out and he's walked. We got a Twitter grouping of photos. Skip Cole of that collision between Mike Cameron that we were talking about here and Humberto Quintero. Franklin Morales warming up in the bullpen for Kansas City. 1 ball, 1 strike. We won't miss collisions like that. They shouldn't be occurring anymore with the current rules, right?
Yes, that is correct. Unless a catcher has the ball and a ton of time and chooses to stand in front of home plate.
That's a hanger. Lorenzo Cain takes care of Carter's fly ball, out #1. Happy 12th anniversary to Mike and Marie Hudis of Virginia. Watching Astros baseball tonight. Santana, the batter. He rolled an infield hit to 3rd in the 4th. He's 1 for 2. Nice article by Ken Hoffman in the Houston Chronicle about Bobby Dynamite, the train guy. There's strike one to Santana.
Walked out to my car last night with Bobby Dynamite.
Did you?
Yep. Said he's been doing this for about 15 years.
Foul away. He's lost a lot of weight. Did you know anything about that?
I did not, but that's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's hard work driving the train these days.
It is
with all
hard
the home runs.
He's a big star in Japan.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw him on a telecast, and he's attracted a lot of attention. Strikeout number 6 for Duffy. Morales, the lefty, has been throwing. And now with 2 outs, it's Hank Conger. Conger's 0 for 2. And David Schoenfeld, the Sweet Spot blogger, he wrote that article about the Astros winning without career seasons. There's strike one. But Christopher Russo on the MLB Network has a show at noon Central Time every day, and he said he's not buying into the Astros yet. Too many strikeouts, he said. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You can't key on one thing and say that's why you're deterred.
Well, he talked about the guys who haven't been there yet on this club.
Did he say the same thing about the Royals last year?
Not sure. We'll have to check the tapes. Well, you know there are going to be skeptics.
That is true.
These guys seem to be blocking that out pretty well, don't they?
Yeah. And I think it has a lot to do with how these guys have been. Well, a lot of the homegrown Astros have been developed. They've been developed together, and they've been developed to win.
Morales retires Conger. 1-2-3 6th for Duffy. 4-0 lead for Houston.
lead. And it's time now to name that Astro, brought to you by your local Honda dealer. We'll give you the clues one more time. This player was drafted in 1979 and played 8+ years in Houston. He was the MVP for the team in 85 and 87, stole 42 bases in that great 86 season, which was 5th in the National League, and hit a 2-run homer in Game 2 of the 86 NLCS. That Astro was Bill Doran, who played a key role for that Astros team in the 80s, a leader in the clubhouse. He was more than just the second baseman that preceded Craig Biggio. He was a heck of a player for this franchise before moving on to the Cincinnati Reds, guys.
Tremendous player and a real fan favorite here. Thanks, Bart.
A lot of fans on Twitter got that right, Brownie.
Oh, yeah, they're all over it. Alex Gordon is the batter. There's strike one. Gordon has struck out both times tonight. Each club with 6 hits, no errors. The Royals have left 5. The Astros have left 3. The Royals left 2 in scoring position in the first inning when Perez grounded out. That's a foul ball. And it's 0-2. So Keuchel seems to be just unfazed by these challenges one after another. He's shooting for win number 10 of this season, which would put him on a pace to win 20.
Oh, just add to the resume.
And he gets a strikeout of Gordon. Number 5.
I believe that's number 100 on the season for Dallas Keuchel.
Oh, yeah, it is.
That's that slider. That is a sharp slider. That's 80 miles an hour. And you can see where his hand is. He gets on the side of it. But when he tries to throw that hard, he gets that sharp break to it. And if you're a left-handed hitter waiting for the looping breaking ball to get by you, you have a tendency to bite on that quick one.
Rios is 0 for 2. Looking at ball 1. The Astros have won 18 of their last 25 in this ballpark. And they have the most home wins in the American League. Ryan Madsen is warming up for Kansas City. 1-1. That's your next ride, Plummer, right there. Sharp looking automobile.
Probably be able to sneak around town with that car.
Oh, yeah, you could sneak.
Go unnoticed.
It's 2 balls and a strike. Rangers lead the Orioles 8-6 in Baltimore. They're in the bottom of the 9th right now. Mitch Moreland has hit 2 more homers. He has 14 now.
Breaking.
3 balls and a strike.
They're out there in Camden Yards.
Yeah, it's a good place to rake, right? Chu hit number 10. Chirinos number 8 for the Texas Rangers. Prince Fielder's hitting .347. He's been leading the league in batting in recent days. This is only the second 3-ball count for Keuchel tonight. Just 87 pitches. $24,642. That's very respectable on a Tuesday night with all the storms we had. Fly ball outside the right field line, back into the seats. This Keuchel corner phenomenon is really catching on.
Yeah, that section is filled in nicely. Just a sea of orange and hair.
When you get your tickets, you'll know a few days before Dallas is pitching, so you get your tickets for that game. And you get the beard and the T-shirt with the ticket. Struck him out. Number 6.
Tomorrow's pitching matchup is presented by Chevron. They want you to care for your car. It's going to be that young man right there, Vince Velasquez, coming off his longest start in his major league career against the Yankees, going up against Edinson Volquez. Good grief. Try and spit that out. Apologize, but should be interesting to see how Vince backs up that good start from last time.
Springer back with a tremendous catch on the Infante drive to left center field. Just perfect timing on the leap of Springer to the backhand side. This is a beauty. Fielder in center. Check this one out.
And watch the route. Even his bad plays are phenomenal. You can see him shaking his head. He knew he took a tough route. Thought that line drive was going to be a little bit more shallow, but has the athleticism to make up for it. In order to be good, you're going to need some help from your friends. We talked about how good that Astros defense can be. Right there was a good showing of it.
A.J. Hinch has been saying ever since spring training, I have 3 center fielders here. Well, Colby Rasmus has been in the hospital. He's down. Jake Marisnick's on the DL. He's down. Springer playing well in center. Preston Tucker takes strike 1. He's 0 for 2. Danny Duffy has retired 5 in a row. Oh, beautiful little girl. One and 1. People are getting tired of me saying this, but have you seen Joe Thatcher's kid, Plummer?
I have not.
Infante to his left. Good play out, number 1.
Every Wednesday night home game is $1 Hot Dog Wednesday, presented by Nolan Ryan Beef. The next Dollar Dog Nosh Fest is tomorrow when the Astros take on the Royals. For more information, visit astros.com/dollardogs or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
That's a bargain.
You ain't lying.
Dollar Dogs, Velasquez and Volquez tomorrow night, 7:10. Finale of the homestand. Then the Astros go on a long 10-game road trip. Then the All-Star break, so it's a while until there's another home game. Marwin Gonzalez is 1 for 2. Flares it for strike 1 foul. And the Texas Rangers will be here. You read that promo earlier tonight, Plummer, about that Ranger game coming up right after the All-Star break. Those games will mean something this July.
It'll give the Astros a chance to maybe create some space.
Fly ball by Marwin. He's blistered a couple of line drives tonight. This is a routine fly ball caught by Gordon. By the way, Josh Hamilton is supposed to play tonight for the Rangers.
Well, I've got a Mako big hit of the game right now. George Springer got himself a fastball inside, turn and burn. Hits it off the C and the Chick-fil-A sign on that left field foul pole, and it was party time after that.
Now we have a pitching change. That's it for Danny Duffy tonight. He is at 97 pitches. No prearranged pitch limit especially, it appears. And 4-0 the score. We'll be right back.
Kansas City Royals, and they make a pitching change. It's going to be the AT&T call to the bullpen. Danny Duffy out, Ryan Madsen in, making his 31st appearance. Nice addition to that bullpen that was already stellar. Ryan Madsen, those closer skills that he has. 1.76 ERA, whip under 1. Opponent's having an extremely tough time trying to get hits off him. Good stuff when he's healthy.
He wasn't in 2013 and he wasn't in 2014 after Tommy John surgery, early in 2012, but now he has put that good stuff together again. George Springer, the batter. High fastball, 1-0.
You happen to miss this, we're going to show it again. Big time blast. Big time kid with some pop. Showing off one of those 5 tools that he does have.
Chicken courtesy of George tomorrow. The changeup is a big pitch for Madsen. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. He was drafted by the Phillies in '98. 34 years old now. Ryan from Long Beach, California. And 32 saves back in the 2011 season. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He's fought his way back, and most recently he worked a scoreless 7th inning on Saturday in Oakland. He's become kind of a bonus member of that Kansas City terrific bullpen with the 2.06 ERA. Out to center field for Kane. After 7, 4-0 Houston. John Mayberry spent parts of 4 seasons with the Houston Astros before being traded to the Kansas City Royals and blossoming into a star, making 2 All-Star teams, driving in 100 runs or more 3 times, leading the league in walks twice, and finishing 2nd in the 1975 AL MVP voting behind Freddie Lynn. Traded for lefty reliever Jim York. He just really flourished when he got to Kansas City.
Tell you what, you deserve to give up home runs in that uniform. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Wow. Mayberry can hit.
Drew Butera leads it off, and there's strike 1 from Dallas Keuchel in the 8th inning. Butera is 1 for 2. Josh Hamilton returned from the disabled list for Texas tonight. He went 2 for 4. It's a 1 ball, 1 strike count, and the Rangers beat Baltimore 8-6. Colby Lewis going to 8-3, beating Miguel Gonzalez. Sean Tollison got his 11th save. Rangers and Astros. This may turn into an actual rivalry after all, Plummer.
Yeah, they're competing for the same title. That's how you create them. You have 2 good teams going to battle with something on the line.
Strike 3 call. That's the 7th punch out for Dallas Keuchel.
What a great slider. Just sit there and enjoy the masterpiece of a game that Keuchel is throwing again. Just love how he's constantly on the mound ready to go. He's just daring hitters to get into that box.
Exactly. He's in attack mode. Alcides Escobar looks at the breaking ball for ball one. The Royals are 9th in runs scored in the American League. If there's a form chart for how to beat them, we've seen it last night and tonight. Keep them off the scoreboard early, get that lead, and keep their bullpen from being a factor. That could be said of a lot of teams, certainly, but especially this one with their bullpen.
Yeah, it's really magnified in this series with the numbers that the Royals bullpen puts up.
When the Royals have the lead after 7 innings, they're 34-0. Shot foul. 2-2. When the Astros lead after 7, they're 36-3. Largest deficit the Royals have overcome to win is a 3-run deficit. Lined over Altuve into right center. Springer over to pick it up. And there's a 1-out single by Escobar. Mike Moustakas will bat. We've seen the shift on consistently for Moustakas. He's grounded out all 3 times to the plate. We just checked the shifts, and the Astros are currently #1 in shifts in the major leagues. They're really close to Tampa Bay. They're 2 shifts ahead of the Rays coming into play tonight.
Would you say the Astros are shifty?
They're shifty. 1-0.
I believe we looked up some numbers, and Moustakas had the highest batting average against the shift. If you remember us talking about it yesterday, Ned Yost said that Moustakas did a very good job early on in the season of going the other way.
Well, we've seen some numbers to that effect, and we've heard a lot about it from the folks who follow Kansas City. There have been 6 shifts tonight by the Astros. That's a pretty low number for them. But about 950 for the year. And throughout the majors, they just keep getting more numerous every year. 1-2. The Angels, despite the fact that they're 19th in shifts, are 3rd in defensive efficiency. Defensive efficiency is the rate at which balls in play are converted into outs. The Astros are 5th in defensive efficiency. Broken bat roller. Carter to the bag. 2 outs. Escobar to second.
So it's good to shift and it's good not to shift?
Well, you know, you have to take everything into a broader perspective, right? The Cardinals are one of the teams that shifts the least in Major League Baseball, and they're one of the best pitching teams. But now they would have more of a strikeout staff than the Astros staff.
Yes.
I think shifting is more important to a contact pitching staff, don't you?
That's a great call, and it's very true for what we see. Guy on the mound is a credit to that. He doesn't mind the contact at all.
So he gets so deep into games consistently. 1-0. Kane is 3 for 3 in this game. And even though we talk about him being in the attack mode, there you see the shift since 2012. How much have they gone up?
That is incredible.
Exponentially. You know, it's attack mode. When we think of pitching and the most effective pitchers often as strikeout pitchers, Greg Maddux was a ground ball pitcher. And you can go on and on and on with this. But Dallas Keuchel is out there. It's almost as if he's going to challenge you to hit something, and he'd like for you to hit the first pitch.
Well, the comparison Keuchel gets is with Tom Glavine.
Right.
He pitched to contact. He was not a high strikeout guy.
That'll do it in the 8th inning. No runs, a hit, and a man left. And another beautiful game for Dallas Keuchel. He shut out the New York Yankees in his last start. And he is in front 4-0 in the 8th.
Jose Altuve will lead it off this inning, and he needs your help, fans, to retake the lead for the second base All-Star starting position for the American League. Make Houston proud and vote Altuve now at Astros.com/vote. Of course, Jose has narrowed the gap between himself and Omar Infante, but there you have a look at where the balloting stands at the most recent tabulation, with Josh Donaldson sneaking in there at third base, as he well should, having a great year. Mike Trout out in right field, but Jose Altuve needs your help, fans, because that Infante spot, no disrespect to him, but we all believe it should be Jose Altuve, and a lot of people do. So get out there and cast those votes. Guys, back up to you.
Thanks, Bart. Jose Altuve leads it off. He has an RBI double in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 3. Luke Hochevar on the mound for Kansas City. And there's strike one. Ryan Madson retired the only man he faced, George Springer. Danny Duffy in 6 2/3 innings allowed 6 hits, 4 runs, walking 2, fanning 6. Hochevar pitched a hitless inning last night, striking out 2. He also missed all of last season. He had Tommy John surgery in mid-March. 14 games. He has a 5.54 ERA as he tries to round into top form again. 1.92 ERA in 2013. Altuve got up on his toes to foul off that pitch.
See the panda the other day facing R.A. Dickey? They measured it about 5.5 feet off the ground, and he swung at it.
Yes, he did.
That was impressive.
He sure did hit it. Escobar, spin move play, and scooped out of the dirt by Morales. That is slick for out number 1.
What an asset to have a guy like Escobar out there ailing with that finger issue, but when he's out there, he makes some amazing plays. Good range, tough hop. Nice pick by Kendricks also.
Very good pick. That was Correa's 0 for 3. Interesting article written by David Barron about the Correa phenomenon a few days ago. You know, they put his jersey that he wore in his first, might have been his first home game, it could have been his first game anyway, up for auction. Somebody paid more than $20,000.
Are you kidding me?
Actually, it happened.
Whoa.
Somebody has big expectations. 2 balls, no strikes.
Talk about taking a chance. Not that you don't think Correa can do it. But wow.
Well,
the initial purchase is kind of hefty.
The old saying, buy low. Who knows what it could be worth 20 years from now.
Very true.
Correa swings at it. 2 balls, 1 strike to Carlos. Colin McHugh will be starting again on Saturday night in Boston. He will receive an extra day of rest. The Friday night starter has not been named yet against the Red Sox. First game of the road trip. Probably tomorrow we'll find out from A.J. Hinch. Broken bat, stabbed. And Hochevar turns it into out number 2.
Time now for the AT&T Rewind. Why not? Evan Gattis mashing the ball to center field. Lorenzo Cain took out part of Taos Hill and almost took out himself in the process. In the meantime, the Oso Blanco cruising into third base with his 4th triple of the year.
Well, he has a single and a triple. 2 for 3 tonight after getting a rare night off last night. 4-6-0 for Houston, 0-7-0 for Kansas City. The Royals have left 6. And a strike 1. Chris Carter's on deck. Pat Neshek warming up for Houston. With some authority out there. Broken bat. Escobar. Round number 3. We go to the 9th. 4-0. Astros. Presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Mike Acosta, who collects all things game used for sale on the Astros website and various charity functions. The authentication manager is trying to put El Oso Blanco's bat back together again.
Shouldn't he have protective gloves on?
He should.
Get a couple splinters trying to repair that thing.
You bet. And it's 4-0 as we go to the 9th inning, and that is the end of the night for Dallas Keuchel. Pat Neshek comes out. He's 3-1 with 1 save and a 2.86 ERA. Andres Morales to lead it off. Morales 1 for 3, a double in the first inning. Another brilliant night for Dallas Keuchel. 8 innings of 7 hits, shutout ball. No walks, 7 strikeouts. 106 pitches, 70 strikes. His ERA is 2.03. There's that parachute changeup. Boy, does he pull the string on that.
Yeah, you pull the string on some pitches. That might be a ripcord he's pulling on that.
That is fun. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Keuchel in his last 2 starts against the Yankees, hot in contention in the AL East, and the Royals, #1 team in the American League, has combined for 17 innings of shutout ball. Walking 1, fanning 19. The Royals had runners at second and third in the first inning with 2 outs when Keuchel retired Salvador Perez. They had a 2-out double from Kane in the 3rd inning. They've left 4 men in scoring position tonight. They have been shut out 5 times this season. The Astros pitching staff has put together 6 shutout wins. Keichel's gone the distance 3 times this season. 2-2. Dallas stands to be 8-0 at home. His home ERA before tonight was 1.39. Out of the way.
Just remarkable numbers here at Minute Maid.
The Royals are 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position in this series.
Don't drive your manager nuts.
They had the 2nd highest batting average with runners in scoring position in the majors prior to last night's game. Morales is down on strikes.
This pitching performance is powered by Kubota. Dallas Keuchel. Browning rattled off some of those numbers. They've been impressive. 17 straight shutout innings. ERA dropping down to 2.03. What a beautiful line. 8 innings pitched, 7 hits scattered, no runs, no walks, 7 punch outs. Another fantastic evening for the Beard.
Salvador Perez takes strike 1. He is 0 for 3. Win number 46. He's right there in front of the Astros. They've lost 34. It's 0-2. They would be 4-2 on this homestand with a win tonight. Behind second and on through into center field for a Perez single. He's aboard for Alex Gordon. Hit number 8 for the Royals. Neshek is a part of the remodeling of this team by Jeff Luhnow over the winter. Veteran relievers brought in, and that has made a world of difference to this club. Luke Gregerson joining him. Will Harris, we mentioned earlier, has a 0.99 ERA. Joe Thatcher, part of the newcomers in this bullpen, which is deep. One 1-0 to Gordon. He has struck out 3 times. Should Neshek punch him out here, he will receive a gift certificate to his favorite Western store in Houston. The treasured golden sombrero. He rolls it just outside the third base line. It's 1-1.
You had me with that one, Browning.
Oh, okay.
Got me.
You never.
I was like, wow, we got a new promotion.
You never took advantage of that one yourself, did you?
Only once.
Okay. Once in your entire career?
I believe so.
That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I'm proud of it too. I think I left about 15 guys on base that day too. I swear every time. I was at Wrigley Field. I believe I was with the Astros, and every time I was up there, I think there was bases loaded, and I punched out 4 times. It was just disastrous.
Fly ball out to center. George Springer back. That's out number 2. What do you do after a game like that?
Throw everything you own in the garbage.
So if there's a Jeff Blum fan waiting outside. Mr. Blum, can I have your glove? Yeah.
Yeah, just right after I light this dumpster on fire.
That's beautiful. Alex Rios, the batter. He's 0 for 3. The fans are up. It's been another good night at Minute Maid Park. Despite the heavy rain beforehand. Shutout baseball. A George Springer homer. Eloso Blanco hitting a triple up on Cows Hill. Altuve RBI double. And there's strike 1 to Rios. Now ball wide at third base. Makes it 0-2. It happened in '86. There were modest expectations for that club. The fans really caught on, and it grew to be quite a second half of excitement that year. Popped up. Altuve sprinting in. Carter's there. Carter makes the catch to end another shutout win for the Astros, 4-0. Dallas Keuchel goes to 10-3. That pitches his second shutout start of the homestand. The Astros blanked the Yankees 4-0. The last time he pitched, they get shutout win number 7 of the season tonight. Final score 4-0 Houston.